Welcome to day 71 of the Seeker's Guide to Soul Contact. 365 lessons to bring you closer to soul and spirit. The theme for today is around the great illusion. It is said that the cost of freedom is eternal vigilance. This is also true for the seeker desiring to maintain contact and communion with his highest spiritual center. Also of note is that freedom can be taken away in increments that are hardly noticeable until one awakens to an alarming loss. This is also the case for the seeker who does achieve a measure of soul contact. Loss of focus and tricks played on him by his lower emotional and mental selves can take it away from him inch by inch until he may not realize how great the distance is that he has traveled away from his own soul. Even though soul contact is more real than the material reality, the initial contact is very gentle and ephemeral, a little like a voice in a far distance that you're trying to discern through lots of interfering noises. These noises are caused by distortions from the emotional self and illusions and scattered thoughts from the lower mental self. We've spent significant time on focusing on how the emotional self blocks soul contact. More subtle, though, are blockages created by the mind. The problem with the emotions is easy to understand. One may have a grievance with another, and the negative emotion takes away his attention from the inner peace of the soul. Now, in a negative state, the person just doesn't feel like stilling the emotions and seeking higher contact. On the other hand, illusions from the mind can creep in when the emotional body is in relative peace. In that fairly tranquil state, the mind can trick the seeker into thinking he has contact when such is not the case. When the seeker begins his quest, he usually seeks some type of higher contact. And in this course, we use the term soul contact, but people seek this by different names. Seeking an answer from God is the most common description of the quest. Others say they're seeking the Holy Spirit, Jesus, the higher self, higher mind, nirvana, and so on. It matters not what language you use. The process is the same. Your request must make it through the static of the lower emotions and the mind. Even when the emotions are stilled, the mind can create quite a barrier. Here is the most common illusion that creates a problem. When the seeker begins his quest for the highest, he will normally reach, the highest he will normally reach will be the higher parts of his emotional self. The feelings here are very powerful and can bring tears to the eyes, but they are still a part of your lower self. The seeker may be a step away from higher contact, but still connected to the lower self, which can lead to much error. This is where the mind comes in creating illusion. The mind calculates that the person is just as spiritual as the next guy and decides that the higher feelings he has received are pretty much the ultimate from God, the spirit, higher self, or whatever he seeks. Since he has not achieved solid enough soul contact, his mind is tricked into believing that he has found the ultimate. A few years ago, there was a popular bumper sticker signifying this illusion. It stated, "I've found it." If the seeker is tricked into thinking the higher emotional contact is the end goal, then he will relax, and it may be a long time before he becomes motivated to see through the illusion and take the next step. It is essential that the seeker learn to differentiate between the higher part of the lower self and the actual higher self. He cannot do this until he makes contact, and cannot make contact unless he is open to the possibility that he has not found the ultimate presence. None of the students reading this will have found the ultimate, so all seekers need to proceed with the idea that there is something higher. Soul contact is the first major step, but there are others. The assignment today is to reflect on this lesson and what may be your personal barriers to discerning the difference between the higher emotional self and the true higher self. Contemplate on what your next step is in making higher contact. End with this affirmation. I have struggled to make it this far. Now is not the time to rest, but forward I move through all barriers. Remember, it's helpful to say this affirmation several times each day and focus on it and contemplate it. Until then, we will see you tomorrow.